Recording started. All right, mate. Here we are. This is our podcast.
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment or some space.
Got to follow the social distancing rule.
More social distancing keeps more people healthy.
It's like, oh, you guys good at talking shit. Why don't you just do a podcast? As soon as you try to do a podcast, we sound like a bunch of muppets. The first time in the boardroom, the first social distance board meeting, and one of the founders is not even here. He can't even turn up on time.
Where's George?
Oh,
what is
mate,
this?
He doesn't give a rat's ass about this brand. We've got to question his commitment. He literally doesn't give a rat's ass about this brand. He'd be here otherwise. The first board meeting.
So this boardroom, right? You started really well. You had a couple of guests, you know, high-ish profile, and then you've obviously gone thin on talent already. You've thought, oh well, let's just use internal guests who we know that will turn up on time, and the first one, and he's not even here. Mate, like if I was the GM of his cycling team, geez, there'd be some stern words about not turning up on time.
Oh mate, you gotta hope that he takes the cycling a bit more serious than this. Like first meeting, you know, and like you say, we've already scraped the bottom of the barrel with low class C grade celebs for our guests. And
so what's the point? What's the point of the boardroom?
Well, I thought we'd just get the founders together. We got to run through. You know, I want to do a bit of a weekly review, see how things are at your end, what you've got going on.
So is this your take on the news, Bills? You're trying to capitalize on popular shows like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, The Daily Report, all these sort of ones where they sort of do a bit of a comical spin on the news? Is that angle you're sort of going for, mate?
Yeah, sounds like that sounds like an A angle.
What is the news? What do you got for us? What's been happening in Spain? You're out and about?
There's plenty of fake news out there. People are watching these bloody broadcast shows and getting fake news. So we thought we'd just bring it back to us three experts. Well, two experts at the moment. The other idiot's not here, and then we'll just give the guys a weekly rundown of the world current affairs and get some real information out there.
Well, one guy that never disappoints is obviously Donald Trump. I don't know if you saw the other day. There was a press conference, and he was put on the back foot. In fact, I've done a bit of prep work for you, Bills. Let's have a look at part one of when he got quizzed by a journo about the coronavirus.
Said many times that the U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer. Yes, behind you.
I've been pronouncing China wrong my whole life.
He's so stubborn when it comes to this coronavirus that he doesn't want to be asked the hard questions, and when he does, he obviously says fake news or whatever. In this case, I think what people didn't like is how he used the word China. Like he said it a lot of times, but he's obviously gone at this reporter, and then she's followed it up with some pretty salty replies.
Please.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead.
Why does it matter?
Okay, anybody else?
I have two questions, Mr.
Next, please.
But you called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on the young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish,
okay.
But can I ask you
Ladies
a question,
and gentlemen,
please?
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Mate, he's got no spine, eh? Like, what did the other lady do? She was just waiting her turn.
But I like how he said his reason was, I gave you a chance to come up, and you did come up. Like there's a time limit. Like he says, like, you know, you've got literally 5 seconds to take the mic, or it's all chance lost. She's there now. She wants to ask a question, but because she was showing support to the other reporter that got shut down because he was trying to insinuate that she was from China. Oh, geez, it's absolute Barry balls up. But
he was looking for her to save. He was looking for her to be the savior in that situation. He didn't know how to answer that question. He was on the back foot.
No.
Like, he was like one of those big reds in the outback, like up on the tail. And then he thought, oh, that chick there, she'll save me. And then she's backed up her colleague, and he's taken it out on her.
But like, he had another brain fart the other day when he was talking about the person who tested positive, and he's saying, you know, this shows a problem with testing because, you know, it wasn't long ago she had a test and she was negative, and then something's happened and she's tested positive. So, you know, what's going on with these testing? His brain can't wrap around that once you're negative. I think he thinks that's it, you're sweet. Doesn't matter what you do after that. There's no chance of getting it again. And when you do get it and you test positive, his brain just can't comprehend that would happen. And I saw like someone was talking about that whole incident, saying that it's equivalent of not being pregnant and then having lots of sex and then a week later going, oh, geez, you know, I'm pregnant. Like,
what happened? What happened between you weren't pregnant and something's happened.
Yeah,
now you are.
Can't work it out.
Mate, and he was going on about the testing the other day as well, saying like how it's not necessary because it just makes them look bad. But then he's like, the more testing we do, the worse we look because of the more positive cases we have. But then if we weren't doing the testing, you'd be asking us why we're not doing the testing. So we can't win in the White House. We can't win.
Are you getting to the point where you're just over the saturation of news on COVID? Because you can't, every time you turn on the radio, the TV, you know, it's just everywhere. Like, I'm at the point now where, like, just give us something. I want to see a news report on a study done on seagulls' addiction to chips or something. You know, like, just give me something other than COVID. Like, it's everywhere. I think I'm maxed out.
Oh, mate, we started this podcast, the Social Distance Podcast. It's pretty obvious, the name. You know, we're following the guidelines of social distancing because to stunt the spread of the virus. Mate, I'm social distancing now, so I don't have to talk to people about it. Like, it's everywhere. And like, yeah, you've got to be aware of it. It's our duty to be aware of it. But mate, like, you bump into someone in the street and you haven't seen them, they're not in your bubble, and you might see them in the supermarket or whatever. I run 2 masks now. I've got one over my face and one over my eyes so people can't see me. So I can just social distance straight past them.
What was the first ride like when you finally got let out of Shawshank?
It was pretty liberating. I'll tell you what, though, it wasn't a long ride. I was suffering. Hang
on. I think George is here.
Oh, there he is. Mate, where have you been? We've been going for 10 minutes already. The first board meeting with the 3 founders of this brand.
It looks like you're using dial-up internet.
Yeah. Why are you pixelated? You look.
I could barely make out the bone definition on your arm.
Mate, you've got to work. You've got some serious
excuse. I'm actually
You look like Skeletor's gone to the beach.
I have a genuine excuse.
Can you move rooms first so we can actually see you? We're just looking at blocks.
Is it actually that shit?
Yeah, we're looking at blocks.
It's pirating my oh, hold on, I'm pirating my neighbour.
We're looking at blocks in a singlet.
No, it's a frozen Skeletor head.
It's like you put a singlet on a Lego doll.
Mate,
where's he gone?
Technical difficulties. Mr. Simpson, your silence will only incriminate you further.
Look at him.
Look at him.
That's a good promo shot there. It's like, you know that movie.
Hang on. This is another one.
Is it worse?
We got you twice now. We got a screenshot.
We've got a screenshot of you. Frozen.
Can we stick with the screenshot so I can do some admin while we're doing this?
We got a screenshot of Skeletor, and then we got the 3D version of him.
All right. I have a genuine excuse. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I have a genuine excuse.
All right.
Yep.
Let us hear it.
Okay, honestly, probably about an hour and a half ago, I went down like a genuine just chore doing some admin, and I took the rubbish out, and I just took it down to the bins, and I like bumped in. Or I saw one of my old teammates from 2014, and like good guy, great guy, but I saw him before he saw me, and I realized like it hit me. I was like, oh my god, I haven't had a COVID chat with this guy yet. I haven't done the mandatory. How's your bubble? How'd you get through lockdown? Like the real painful. So I decided I would go across to the other bins. So I walked like the whole way around the block to go across to the other bins, and I don't know. I guess it's lunchtime. Everyone's going to get their bread, and I ran into an Aussie guy, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is another guy I haven't had the COVID chat yet with." So I ended up going like, "Right, I'll go back around the other one. I'm sure it'll be fine." Came back round like through a one-way system, like a real roundabout way. And by this stage, I was thinking like, should have brought the gun and I could have logged these Ks. And then
you should have brought the computer so you could have logged onto the board meeting in time.
Yeah,
mate, you need to start logging your carbs.
So I didn't come here to get grilled, eh? I've had enough of this morning. So
take that single off and put the bulletproof vest on, mate. We're coming in hot.
I'm just trying to embrace the summer. What if I just come in like this? What if I just give you this one, top of my head? Give you the old mum and dad look. So anyway, drop the rubbish off. That's another story, actually. Drop the rubbish off. Right, sweet as. Look at the time. Still got like an hour 20 before the start. Walk into the elevator, hit the button, door opens, heart sinks. It's my neighbour who I also haven't had a COVID chat yet with. And that's from him for the last hour 20.
What's the problem with these COVID chats? Why don't you want to have them? Why don't you just be a normal, nice guy and just have a chat?
I've had 3 months.
What else you got to do?
I've had 3 months board meetings with you losers.
Oh, so that's why you're late.
That's why I'm late.
Well, we were actually just talking about the COVID. You missed the Donald Trump section. We gave him a grilling. Maybe not quite as the same grilling as we gave you. But we were just talking about this COVID chat and like, you know, the whole premise of this podcast at the start of it, the social distance, was because we're following the guidelines of social distancing, like Boris Johnson says in our intro, social distance. And now we're social distancing to avoid these conversations.
Yeah, well, just on Boris Johnson, because he's in your intro, at one point there I thought you're going to have to redo the intro because it would have been a bit awkward if it went pear-shaped for Boris and you had him talking about Corona.
Yeah, it could have been a historic. Like, you know, like a bit of history. Like how many intros have got JFK talking in them? So I think it would have actually made us more prestigious. But
yeah, I see your point.
So you're at the point now where the COVID chat is done. Like people are definitely sick of talking about it. It's time to move on. But the problem is what's the next icebreaker if you're not going to talk about COVID? I mean, how do you break the ice? Because everyone now is breaking the ice the same way. How you holding up, mate? How's it going?
Yeah. How's your bubble?
How's your bubble?
Well,
there's no other icebreaker.
No. I mean, with cycling, with cycling,
there's no sport on.
I mean, the cycling aspect is, hey, mate, how shit are you at the moment? You know, just comparing how bad you are. I did some power testing early this morning. Did some power testing just to
not with the biceps, I hope.
No, not with the biceps, mate. With the you may as well use the biceps.
On the bench.
And I was so rubbish. It was one of those sessions where I was like, I don't know if I can upload this. I don't know. I'm actually genuinely embarrassed to upload this file, and my coach will look at it and go, mate, you've had 2.5 months.
Yeah, but surely this period, coaches are going to give you a bit of leeway, yeah. Given that you're on the home trainers, they have to.
Yeah, I mean, this was a 3-minute test. It's pretty hard to be like normally when you don't train, your 3 minutes goes up. I don't know what's happened. I was going to chuck my Garmin in the river on the way home.
Is there any skills that you've developed in the COVID down time that you didn't have before the lockdown?
Podcasting skills. I've learned how to podcast.
Have you noticed, George, that Bewley's videos started pretty sharp? Like because he was naturally sort of being funny with the cooking, and then I think he's bought into the whole social media influencer. I've got to just have zingers left, right, and centre. What's your take on where he's going with his videos, George?
There's been a lot of crimes in this lockdown. A lot of like things that have been handed out. You know, people going out riding in the wrong time, 300 euros. You sneeze, 300 euros. One crime that I've seen has been largely unpunished has been Bewley social media. Until now, I feel like I feel people are encouraging him.
It punishes itself. I'm punishing myself by doing those videos.
You know what? Can I tell you what first happened? The first thing that happened was we were out. We were in Andorra. Just watched an episode. It was about 10 o'clock. We just watched an episode of Casa de Papel. Had a glass of wine. Caitlin was in the kitchen looking at her phone. Life was good, you know, like nothing was wrong. And I heard her like, you know, she's on Instagram. I heard some videos. I always hear her saying stuff. And then she just dropped her phone and she goes, "George, you need to call Sam. Like something really bad had happened." I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Just you need to call him." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So she came over and she said, "He's done a fucking cooking video." So I was like, "Oof, okay." Getting pretty grim down in Girona. So
now,
all right.
Now, hang on. Which cooking video? Was it an early one or a later one?
What was the
early
first
one.
one? What was the first one I did? I can't remember.
The very first thing you did was a
pizza or something.
Nah. It was
Mexican.
No,
Mexican.
it was aubergine.
Nah, that was way down the line. There's no way I wasn't doing vegetarian straight up. Man's got to eat.
Oh, the chili con carne. You went with the
Chili con carne.
Was it?
That's it. Yeah.
What did I do? I didn't realize I'd done one of them.
No, yeah.
Mate, honestly, it's like my heroin. Like I can see how people get addicted to being like influencers, and like I'm an influencer now. Like I consider myself an influencer.
You are influencer.
What are you influencing?
Influencer.
Sam, what are you influencing?
I'm influencing myself to cook something different every night because I've got to record it. And also, like, mate, I've got heaps more followers, like at least 50 more.
How many of them have gone, "Oh shit, he's in a bad spot"?
I've got 50 new follows and 60 guys stop following me.
Yeah.
Well, just back to icebreakers before, I reckon one of the ones that you can get around is what you're watching on Netflix. That's obviously a safety one, because then you can talk about like really good shows or whatever. Have you guys been diving into The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary?
Yeah, I'm up to date.
I reckon we could talk about this for at least 10 minutes and get to the bottom of. And this leads me to, I want to bring in a segment, boys. I reckon we can do something with this, and that is legend or bellend.
I knew this was, as soon as you said I want to bring in a segment, I was like, "Oh, here we go."
This is going to hit the floor.
Listen, Michael Jordan, I grew up one of the biggest MJ fans. Like I had a backboard in Sale that I custom made, and I put the Jumpman logo on it. It was red with a white Jumpman and a black outline, and everyone in Sale wanted it. Like we were Jordan crazy in the 90s, so he was my idol. But then some cracks are starting to open up. You know, I'm doing a bit of duck diving and I'm finding out all these little articles online. Now, obviously the doco's shown a few more pricklier stuff that's gone along. Like we all heard about the fight with Steve Kerr where he smacked him in the face and the price of winning and all this sort of stuff. Mate, I found one. Here, let me just read one of these ones. There's an article, if you go to Elite Daily, 23 incredible Michael Jordan stories that prove he's a champion of scumbags as well. And there's one story. So all right, we knew as a gambler, right? And they talked about that in the doco, and you know, it could have been linked to his dad and all this sort of stuff. But one of them was he used to bet with players whose luggage would come off the conveyor belt first.
Oh yeah,
but he used to pay off airport staff when he got off the plane, like, "Hey, here's $100. Make sure my bag goes through first." So he used to cheat at that. The worst I reckon I saw was a coach invited him round for a game of cards, and he ended up playing with this coach's mum. Here it is: cheating against an old lady at a game of cards for no money. Former UNC men's basketball coach Buzz Peterson once recalls inviting Michael Jordan over to his home, where he played a friendly game of cards with his mum for no money, of course. Buzz also recalls witnessing Michael trying to cheat while she left for the bathroom. Just like his game on the court, Jordan goes at all costs to win, money on the line or not. Now, is he a legend or a bellend? I'll leave you.
She's gone for a slash, and he's had a little peek at the cards.
Yeah, but I feel like that's number one rule.
This is winning it all.
Don't go for a piss halfway through a game of cards.
That's like pretty low level from MJ, you know.
No, I rate it.
But it's also it's also the lower level of being a bellend, because like when you go into the doco, and like for the people who haven't seen the doco, well, you're going to have to listen to this anyway. And like he just wants this win at all cost mentality, and like you kind of got to respect that. And like you see in the latest episode, he breaks down and he starts to question himself. Like it's obviously affected him the way that he treated people, but he just had his mentality, and he was like, we have to win at all costs. And if you didn't share that mentality with him, he was just going to beat it out of you. He was going to treat you like shit, and he was going to be like, if you're on my team and we're going to win a championship, you're going to get this. Your mentality is going to change, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you until that happens. And like you got to question, like there's some sense to that. There's some tactic, and you sort of got to respect that mentality a little bit. But man, poor old Burrell,
but
he's just copping it.
But do you have to cheat? Like you don't have to win all the time. That's the thing. Like on the court, yeah. The thing I'm struggling with is he's rolling mums in a game of cards. You know, he can't switch off this guy.
Yeah.
Let's look at like, okay, let's take 5 of the best players across sports, you know, like of all time, you know, Armstrong, Jordan, let's say David Warner.
What do you mean?
He's not the best, okay, but he is one of the best batsmen. As much as I hate the guy.
Yeah. So I see where you're going. I see where you're going with this, George.
More likable, Coley.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli, you know, love the guy.
Yeah.
But you look at him; he goes down to provincial games and he's heckling like provincial players and getting up people in the crowd when they're winning. They're whitewashing us, and then he's still there. He still just has to get amongst it. It's just it's a mindset amongst people, and maybe that's why the fact that we can turn it off. Maybe why we'll never be ultimate winners. You know.
Well, all I can win is cards.
But one other thing that is a similarity, right? One other thing they reckon is a similarity is this inherent chip on your shoulder from a very young age. So you talk about David Warner. He grew up in a single family. His dad shot through, and it was just him and his mum and I think his brother. And then same with Armstrong, single parent family. And then they had this whole sort of aggro from when they were really, you know, at a young age where it's like, I'll show them, you know, and this chip that never left. So it was always us against them. So for guys like Warner and Armstrong, they use that for sport. But I think there's always a line. Like, I think you can still get success without having to overstep the line where you can't control your emotions.
Yeah, I mean, Lance, like an example. He was probably a great guy off the bike. You know, I don't know him personally, but you know, from all accounts, off the bike. I mean, I think with that, maybe it stopped on. You know, absolute fighter on the bike, maybe off the bike. Different story to guys like MJ, but
did you? The other thing that they're calling out with this Jordan article is the careers that he killed. Like, he killed the career of Muggsy Bogues. Do you remember Muggsy Bogues, the little Charlotte player? He was like
short-ass Charlotte Hornets boy.
Yeah. He was 5'3". Yeah. He won the dunk contest, and like he was at the top of his game in '95, and they were playing the Bulls in a finals game. And it says here when he ended Muggsy Bogues' career by being a dick. According to former Chicago Bulls assistant coach Johnny Bash, MJ destroyed Muggsy Bogues' confidence and ended his career in one game. On the biggest possession of the game, Muggsy had the ball with the Hornets down by 1. Jordan backed off him and told him, "Shoot it, you effing midget." Muggsy shot it, and it didn't even come close. A year later, Muggsy actually told Johnny Bash that he believes that single play ruined his career. His shot was never the same. Like,
but that's not MJ's fault, is it?
Why?
That's his fault for taking the shot and missing. You can't blame. That's like me saying, you know, I didn't win a stage in the Giro because someone told me to attack when I shouldn't have. It's my fault. Listen to them.
No, but Jordan opened it up to him. He gave him Muggsy Bogues was good, man. Like, he was real good.
Well, that
but he wasn't missing many. And normally, I bet you 99% of the time he would have missed that. But the reason he missed it was because Jordan gave him the free shot. He got out of the way. And the only way Jordan affected him wasn't by defending, wasn't by chucking his arm up, wasn't by getting in his face. It was by standing there and making that comment that shoot it, you midget prick. And that's why he missed it. And then, but you've also got to think about what Muggsy Bogues' perspective of Jordan was then, 95. He was a hitter. Everyone looked up to him, and like everyone was like, MJ's the greatest player of all time. No one's going to be ever as good as him. Everyone knew, and I'm sure in the basketball scene, everybody knew what he was like, his personality. They heard the stories of what he was doing in training to his own teammates, the way he was treating them. So he was probably like, everyone was like intimidated by MJ. And then for him to give you the court and say, righto, mate, have a shot. And then all of a sudden he's just like frozen, like, Jesus.
Well, then he destroyed another guy, Jim Jackson, who was playing for the Nets in '96.
These names are out of control, eh? Muggsy, Jim Jackson.
Sorry, Mr. Jackson.
How American are these names?
What about Spud Webb?
Spud Webb.
He was a man.
Anyway, this Jim Jackson was trash talking in '96, having an awesome game. And then right near the end, Jordan's like, dude, you're wearing my shoes. And that cooked him. Never recovered. Jim Jackson. Here's another one. But the other takeaways of this Last Dance, it is by far the best sport doco series I've ever seen, just because it's reliving all these old days. But Pippen in this doco, like early on, you feel sorry for the guy because it's like, oh man, they've rolled him for his contract, they've flicked him, poor Pippen, all this stuff. And then that scene when he wouldn't take the court, and they wouldn't write the play where he had the final shot, and they gave it to Kukoc, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not taking the court." And then at the last minute, Phil Jackson's like, "What's going on with Pip? Oh, he doesn't want to take the court. Ah, fuck him." Yeah. And then they play with him. Jeez, he lost some credits. Like, mate, pretty hard to recover. And I think in the last two eps,
when you watch that, when you watch Pippen throughout the documentary, like I love the guy. Like he just like even now as a 50-year-old or whatever he is, sitting in his house and talking, he's just got this real nice vibe about him. He seems just like a cool character, And then you watch him when he was playing in the 90s there, and it was flipped for his contract. He was making $18 million over 4 or 5 years or whatever it was. Jordan's rolling like $20 million a year or more, and like he was underpaid, hundredth best paid player in the NBA, and probably the second best player in the NBA. So you can kind of understand like the fact that he was like bitter about that, and when he took his knee, he did his knee surgery or whatever it was, and during the season, because he was like, this is a way that I don't have to play now. Like if you're going to pay me crap, I'm going to sit in the stands and stuff here, And like there was, although that was a little bit bullshit as well, but you could kind of see where he was coming from it. But then when he was like the hitter, Jordan wasn't playing then. Like Pippen was leading that team. He was the leader amongst the group. He was a superstar, and he'd taken that team to that point in the finals. And then he didn't get to take the shot, and he just bailed on the boys. He's just like, nah, you're on your own, boys. Oh, that was bullshit. That was bullshit. I took a turn then.
Yeah.
But I think you got to be careful to judge sportsmen by on the field. I mean, you look at like, just from us, how many people don't like you or me? Probably more don't like me than they don't like you. Although those cooking shows might have changed that.
Yeah, I'd say it's evened it up.
Yeah, it's evened up for sure. But you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty hard to judge someone from on the sport actions. It's like when you're at war with someone. Say they're shooting at you. They don't know you.
Well, okay. Say when you've stuffed up, right? So say Isaiah Thomas, not shaking the hands after the 91 finals or whatever. That is a clear stuff up. Yeah. So when you're interviewed 30 years later, you've got an opportunity to say, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. It was a bad look. If I had my time again, I would have done it differently. No. He had the opportunity.
He defended it.
He tried to say that the Celtics did the same thing. Yeah. And yet there was footage of him literally grabbing one of the players' hands to shake it from the Celtics. So he shook their hand, but in the interview he's going, no, they just stormed off. And
I dragged them out. I dragged them out to shake our hands, yeah.
Forgetting that there's cameras at the stadium.
Mate, and like MJ's like saying, he's like, it doesn't matter what video you show me, what excuse Isaiah Thomas has now, I'll never forget that moment, and he's an arsehole. And then he had the moment to be able to say to MJ, yeah, mate, I was an arsehole. That was actually bullshit. Let's bury the hatchet. That was poor form from me. Absolutely poor form. But he defended it. He's like, no.
You got to find a hill to
Before they
die on, though, don't you? You just die on that hill. You know, you did it then, and you just got to stay put. You got to dig in.
But Pippin did the same. He said, "Oh, if I had my time again, I probably would have done the same thing."
Yeah, exactly.
Like sat on the bench. Like he hasn't learned shit. This is the problem with these US bloody sports stars.
Yeah.
You guys have successfully ruined the next 6 episodes for me because I'm only 2 episodes deep because I tried to start watching it 2 weeks ago and we had to finish off Afterlife, which is only like 20-minute episodes. And, you know,
that's a great show.
It's awesome, but we had to stop. I was watching it with Caitlin, you know, we've got like one of those when you have to watch it together, you know, that kind of thing. And we had to stop for 20 minutes after each episode so she could dry her eyes. So it took us a while to get through. And so I'm only now. And then she said, no, I want to watch MJ. I want to watch The Last Dance. That's going to be our next thing. And I told her that you hate sports documentaries. And she says, no, I don't. I love sports. I always watch them. I said, no, you don't. Yeah, I love them. Okay, all right, we're watching this one. About 15 minutes in, should we watch, you know, it just trails off. It's just not a...
Sex in the City or something.
Yeah, new one.
I reckon we need to hear, so that this segment, let's have a vote between us three. Is he a legend or is he a bellend? And then we'll get out the boardroom here. I'm the CEO of this company because I'm in the middle of the screen. That's all you need to qualify as the CEO. So I got
is the ballroom all about we want to get to the bottom of unanswered questions?
The boardroom is about we want to address issues of the week. We want to discuss those issues and we want to clear them out of the boardroom because next week there's going to be another meeting and there's going to be more current affair issues that we're going to have to get through, and we're going to have to vote on our legend or bellend or bellends every week. And then we want to hear from the listeners. Comment below in our Facebook and on our YouTube channel. Send us questions. Nice one, Jonesy. We want to hear from the listeners.
Or topics.
Hit us up on social media and tell us whether you agree with our assessment of the legend or the bellend.
All right. So I'll open up. I'm only an episode and a half deep, and so far he's a legend, so I'm going with legend.
Jonesy?
Yeah, I can't go past he's a legend. Yeah. We all what's that?
Go on, mate.
Going to Hollywood?
Go on, mate.
The golden buzzer?
He's a legend.
All right.
He's an absolute legend.
So we've just told people probably what they already knew. Except that he cheated in cards, so I don't think a lot of people knew that.
There'll be some. There'll be one of our thousands of listeners that will find him the bellend. So let us know. We're not done.
We've got one more. We've got one more. This is a big one. Ellen DeGeneres is obviously she's a bellend. She's come under fire because Kevin T. Porter, comedian, he put on Twitter, wanted people to share their sort of Ellen stories. And it just went nuts. Like he said he was going to donate $2 to charity or whatever. And geez, some of these stories are horrific.
Good stories or
like
bad
the biggest one is bad stories. Like share your dirt.
What
on
was
Ellen.
his motivation? Why was he
apparently? Well, it was one of those things that sounded like it was like common knowledge in Hollywood. Like everyone knew that she was difficult. So I remember going to Bling's wedding in 2015 and Alan's local vet was at that wedding who treats all her animals or whatever. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. You know, tell me about Alan. And he said, oh yeah, look, she's a tough one because apparently she's really protective with who she lets into her inner circle. She's obviously that big, you know, you're not just going to be mates with every Tom, Dick and Harry. And there was like she puts them through like a test period of 12 months before she can let you into the circle, where if you don't ask for anything, like you don't ask for tickets or you don't ask for freebies or stuff from them, well, then she can trust you and then you'll start becoming part of her inner circle. So I don't know how many people have been able to hold off and crack the code.
What do you want from Ellen, though? What do you want from imagine how punishing it was to get tickets to a show?
She's worth $350 million.
Yeah, but you're not going to ask for money. How about, yo...
you want to be invited to her parties. You want to be invited. You want socially. You know, you want to go around for bloody Ellen movie night or whatever she's offering up. But some of the stories, like the biggest ones, was like she wouldn't have eye contact with a lot of people in that she worked with. There was like a security guard who looked after her and her family for the Oscars, and she wouldn't acknowledge him and just treated him like shit. And then they went out to a restaurant once, and the waitress who worked at this restaurant and served them, the next day the manager said, "Oh, did you serve Alan last night?" And she was thinking, "Oh, this is so cool. You know, I'm probably going to be on her show or whatever." And she said, yeah, I did. And they said, "All right, you're fired." And she's like, "What?" They said, "Yeah, she put in a complaint of you had chipped nail polish, and she wasn't happy with that. You know, could have got in the food." Now, where I come from, that's considered a delicacy. Back in Sale, bit of chipped nail polish in your P&M soup. But, so they've just gone to absolute town, and her whole thing is be kind to people and all that sort of stuff. And
has this like happy-go-lucky show where she's quite funny on that show. In fairness, I've watched it a couple of times. And
Have you?
I don't hate it, but but she just covers her ass so much. Like when she had that what was her name, Dakota. What's her name?
Fanning.
From Fanning from 50 Shades of Grey. Suitable name, I suppose.
That's not Dakota Fanning's that young child actor.
Oh,
no, that's Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So she had her on there. Good research. And she hit her up about why Alan didn't come. Oh no, Alan hit her up first, didn't she? She said, "Oh, you never invited me to your birthday party. Like, why didn't you invited everyone in Hollywood? You didn't invite me." And she's like, "No, I invited you." And she was just trying to cover her ass. She's like, "Oh yeah." And I think she even looked over at her producer, and the producer yelled, like, "You were out of town that weekend." She's like, "Yeah, that's right, I was out of town." And then she came up with some excuse that Malibu was too far away, or.
The funniest was where it was all recorded live, and she got her on the ropes, and then you see Ellen's face when she finally realizes, "Hang on, I did get invited," and tried to backstep. And one of the other points that they said on Twitter was she's got real sensitive smell, Ellen. So you're not allowed to chew gum if you work on a set, and if you've got BO, she'll literally send you home, or if you smell a little bit off. It made me think she wouldn't last 10 minutes in a cycling team. Could you imagine the last week of the Tour of Spain with those Basque mechanics? Like, imagine locking her in the mechanics truck.
She wouldn't be doing any live shows on the Angleroo with all those drunk Basque boys as well.
I don't think she'd go very well on the bloody social distance either, especially after I'm fucking elevated for an hour and a half with my neighbour talking about COVID.
Well, wait until she just gets a whiff of the show.
Is there anyone that you've met growing up that is super famous that turned out to be a bit of a dick?
Yeah, heaps actually.
Heaps. You live in Richmond, the top of the South Island.
Yeah, and heaps. But they weren't famous. None of them were famous. But like, in one of my cycling teams, I'm not gonna incriminate myself here, right? But there was a guy that we had two guys in the bus. One of them was super famous, and another guy had.
So Mr. Brown, and Mr. Pink.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So Mr. Pink, we'll call him, was famous, and Mr. Brown. We're doing a race, right? And Mr. Brown had given away his booties to another guy because he'd thought he had heaps of pairs of booties. It was freezing cold. He goes, "Here's some booties." Gave them away. Pulls out a second pair, and they got a massive hole in them. Puts them on. All right. Shit, got to ride with no booties. Anyway, does the race, gets in the car, gets in the bus, comes in, gets a phone call from management because Mr. Pink had complained that he had to ride with someone on the same team with holes in his booties. Because
what a dick.
What a wanker.
What a wanker.
Yeah.
That's pretty much answered the age-old question. Definitely a bell end.
Yeah.
What about you, Bills?
I don't think I have.
Met anyone famous to turn a bit of dick?
No.
What about one of your influencer mates?
Good chat, mate.
Like Kim Kardashian or something. I'm in better.
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Kim Kardashian.
I met Greg Norman once at a
the
golf
shark.
tournament at the end of the 90s. Yeah, He was one of my idols, and it had been piss and rain, and I pushed through the crowd and went up to him and gave him a hat, which was a bit wet, and he grabbed the hat, looked at me, dropped the hat, and just walked off. I thought that was weird. So I grabbed the hat, and I thought maybe I don't know, maybe the hat slipped out of his hand, or maybe he didn't intend to drop it. So I'll have another go. 5 minutes later, pushed through the crowd again, got right under his grill, and pretty much held the hat here and said, "Oh, can you sign this?" And I called him just Shark. I said, "Can you sign this, Shark?" And he just looked at me and goes, "I don't sign hats in the wet, bird," and dropped the hat and walked off again.
What?
So, I was pretty disappointed with the Shark.
Yeah.
Poor form.
I met one of my heroes, actually, who turned out to be, this segment is Legend or Bellend, who turned out to be an absolute legend. And that was John Olomu. And when I was a young fella, obviously, like guys of my age, Lomu was just a legend, So he was playing for the Blues then, for Auckland Blues, and they did a training session in Thames, which is in the bottom of the Coromandel Peninsula there, bottom of the Firth of Thames, and they did like a local training session there, and I was in the area, and I would have been like 10 years old or something. So we went along to the training, and it was pissing rain. And the training session finished, and there was probably about 20 kids there or whatever, come to watch the Blues train. As soon as the training session ended, the weather was so bad that all the Blues just bailed into the locker rooms. Lomu stood in the rain it would have been for 30 or 40 minutes, talking to all these kids, signing autographs, having photos, kicking the footy around with them. Like, he was just an absolute legend, man. Absolute legend.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that warmed my heart.
Maybe we should find more stories for the next step about legends rather than focusing on the Bellends.
Well, pretty Bellend. It was pretty Bellend heavy, that one.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was Bellend heavy.
Well, not really. Jordan was a legend, and Alan sounds like a bit of a Bellend.
Yeah, and then Mr. Brown or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Mr. Brown. We'll go Mr. Brown. I think Mr. Pink was the belly, and Mr. Brown was good.
Yeah. So we've sorted that out. But yeah, as you said earlier, like if people want a full scathing review of any personality, famous or non-famous, just throw it out there on your social distance podcast.
I think it's pretty easy to find bad things on Twitter. People are always going to be offended on Twitter. So
we want to get the fans engaged. The fans, I mean, when I say fans, I mean the people that listen to this. Jump on our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on the YouTube channel. Send us some comments. Ask us we'll discuss someone that you guys nominate, or even let us know what your results are with today's assessment, and then next week we'll fire up another Legend or Bellend segment with Jonesy.
Well, you can throw one out there as well. It doesn't have to be mine. Oh, yeah, particularly if it's a prickly one. Like if you pull out and label someone a Bellend that no one ever thought was a Bellend, then that could cause some controversy. Yeah, so I don't want to be linked to it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. We'll handball it to you.
Get
you to bring it up.
You bring it up.
It's your segment, mate.
All right. I'll
just put on the fence. I like to sit on the fence, just safely, just stay in my lane, stay out of controversy, and then just let you deal with it, really.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
What else have you brought to the table, George? The story of Mr. Brown and your big story, but is there anything else you want to sort of finish strongly with?
Current affairs.
I want to talk about the yips. You guys heard about the yips?
Yep.
You heard
yips? No.
I got the yips.
I've heard it in golf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've realised I've got the yips.
For
in
what?
Golf?
No, not in golf. In anything. I've got the yips. Just can't do it.
I know what. The yips comes from an extended period of not following an old routine, and that's when you start.
Just out of the blue, it just goes wrong, doesn't it? The first time I heard the yips, which is actually quite funny. I remember I've never heard of it before until the Boxing Day test last year. Like, we play a game of cricket every Boxing Day, which is day after Christmas if you don't have Boxing Day where you're from, and it's a big day. I don't think the Dutch have Boxing Day. They have
true.
Deep Day or something. So the yips, a guy came into bowl first.
The yips telling this story.
So comes into bowl and he first ball of his spell and just launches it wide, goes for 4. like massive no ball. And the batsman, the non-striker, then goes, "Oh, he's got the yips." And the batsman said, "No, that ain't the yips, mate. He's always been shit house." So I went deep into the yips, and I was wondering what the yips were, and it just turns out the yips is just you're doing something. And in my case, currently, it's going downhill on a bike. You go downhill, and even now and then you just get the yips. And today I was like, "Holy shit, I got the yips."
It's common in golf.
You had the yips when this podcast started, when you came in looking like the Pixar lamp.
Yeah.
MJ got the yips.
MJ
Yeah,
got the
you
yips.
just in golf all the time. But I remember when you'd have, like, for me, back when we were doing the video stuff, if I had 2 months off, I'd have so much, like, almost anxiety when it was the first race of the season back, because like the yips, you sort of feel like I've forgotten how to ride the bike, or I've forgotten to do what you normally used to doing. And that just, you make simple mistakes that you didn't normally make because you're not used to doing it. So I think you'll be fine. I think you can ride out the yips, give it a week, and then you'll find your form again.
Isn't it like the hiccups or something? You've just got to suddenly like scare yourself and it comes back, or like
drop it on a corner tomorrow or something.
But then there's some people like Novi who are just got permanent yips. Like, they're like Cosmo Kramer types that are always tripping and falling over, and shit just goes wrong all the time. They've just learned to live with the yips.
You've got a bit like you, Jonesy, when you used to go get on those benders. There'd always be a story come out of those.
I had the drinking yips.
They were entertaining though.
Yeah, no, they've all dried up. I got rid of those yips. Had to.
So we're sticking with the boardroom. Is that what we're calling the show? The boardroom.
I think so.
The board meeting. The Three Musketeers. The Three Blind Mice. What do we?
Three blind.
Well, you do. Yeah, you just rehash and, like, you're not even trying. Just call it the boardroom.
All right. So
weekly wrap.
Should we be setting up for the next week's boardroom? Chucking on I don't know how to do a tie, but I'll put a shirt on.
I think George needs to cover some of that skin.
Muscles.
It looks like an X. You look like a human X-ray.
I'm feeling spring. I'm feeling. Now I was feeling spring-like. Now I'm just feeling very self-conscious. So I might just wrap. I feel like I'm just going to.
You're looking lean.
You'll turn up next week in a puffer jacket. And
I'm going to come in looking like
stuff with oranges or something.
Yeah.
Banana down the front of the shorts.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been on the weights, Jonesy. I've been on deadlifts. Still deadlifts.
Have you?
Only 10, but not very heavy. Just a bar, no weights.
Before we go, one other question is, a lot of people in COVID, in the lockdown, have been doing reckless online spending. What's the most unnecessary product you've bought over the last 9.5 weeks?
I've got about 7 or 8 baby outfits sitting on my desk over there, because a friend of ours had a baby not long ago, and I was like, I need to get some like a present for her. So I was like, I'll buy her like a little baby suit or whatever. So I ordered on Amazon, but after I made the order, I realized I read the fine print and it said it wasn't going to be delivered till the end of June, and I was like, well, that's too late. Like, she won't even fit it by then. So then I ordered a couple more. One of them ended up being a 6-pack, and that was not going to be delivered till the middle of June. So I was like,
is that because they're coming from China?
yeah, probably. So then I was like, I've got to go Amazon Prime. Everyone told me about Amazon Prime. So maybe I've got to order it from the Prime web part of the website or whatever. So I ordered some more, and then it turns out the delivery dates were moved well and truly forward. And they all arrived over the last 3 days. I've just been getting every morning the doorbell goes and it's Amazon delivery. And now I've got about 8 baby outfits for one baby.
You realise that friend of ours that's had the baby will have a shitload of baby outfits from the first baby, and the last thing they need is...
you got no one like hand-me-downs?
Yeah. You should have asked me for advice, like what to give people that they actually want. Books. Books.
Yeah, for kids.
They're good for kids. Because then when they get to, 1.5, 2, you've always got it. Whereas they grow out of the clothes and, then they get handed on. And as George said, you get so many clothes. Like, you pretty much stick to a rotation of 5 things, you know, in that period, just because you couldn't be asked.
They do have a small dog that will fit these outfits.
Oh, then that's perfect. That's perfect. What about you, George? You been loading up on just crap?
Yeah, what I bought was good, but completely useless to me. I've realised. I bought. I was up in Andorra, and I just got so claustrophobic about how much small. I got a small apartment, and I was like, oh, these fucking bikes everywhere. So I bought these real beautiful bike hangers. They're about €100 each, and they double up as shelves. And you drill them into your wall. They're really well handcrafted, beautiful things. And I went to put them up and realised that my wall's just made of plywood, and I can't drill them in until I put them up. So if you know,
you can put them in. You just need the hooks. You just need the anchors. You got to put
the shelf
anchors
itself weighs like 2 kilos, and the wall's this thick. I already drilled.
But if you put the anchors in, you got to put the anchors in.
Why don't you drill in a bit of wood, and then you drill it into the wood?
This sounds like a job for the handyman, Louis.
Well, why don't you just rip the plywood off and drill it into the beams?
Because it's where I want to hang them. There's no beams. It's just what's it called? MDF.
Sounds like you got CBF.
I got bigger problems than hanging my bike at the moment, mate. I got the yips.
Oh, you'll be
right.
Yips.
Yep.
All right, good board meeting, guys.
Yep.
We'll be back next week with another one, and we probably should get on to getting a guest on as well. I reckon if we want to run these board meetings every week, we'll try to put them out. What are we going to do? We're going to try to put them out on the same day every week, these board meetings?
Yeah, I just think whenever you can get George to roll up on time.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. And then if you want to challenge the guys, because this is the other thing, I reckon in terms of guests, this is the only time in history that you're going to go after big name guests and they can't blow you off with a bullshit excuse. They can't go, oh, sorry, mate, that doesn't work. I'm traveling. I'm not going to be home.
MJ and find out ask him if he thinks he's a bellend or a legend.
No one's going to reply and say, look, I'm on a plane at the moment. I'll get back in touch when I'm on the ground.
That's been my go-to way.
Why don't we try and get some connected with the Bulls? Like I did an interview with Chris Anstey the other week, he didn't play at the Bulls during that time, but he played against the Bulls in 97, 98 and cut Rodman with an elbow, and he was playing for the Mavs and they came back from 13 points down and beat him. Maybe we can try and dig up some details through him. Yeah. Get him on and get his final take on the Last Dance.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Some option to do then.
Yep.
So we'll get these out for the listeners. We'll get these out once a week, and we'll get the guest segment out every couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll have a guest on. And
what about Jedi? Why don't we get Jedi on?
It's got no filter. It's got no filter, man.
I don't know if we have to put a PG or an R rate, like an under 18 block.
You can just tell him. Just say don't drop FCs or S's.
What's an X?
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. I think you're going with sluzzers or something worse.
Yeah. All right. We're waffling now. Wrap it up, Bills.
Righto. Good chat, boys. Thanks for coming to the board meeting. George, make sure you're on time next week, eh?
Righto,
Righto, boys.
All right. Bye.
Yep.
See you later.